All right, welcome everyone. This is a Viper Professional Training and Support webinar. Today's date is November 12th, 2018. This is a Monday night webinar, and the title of today's webinar is How to Tell When Trend Changes or If It's Just a Phantom. And as everyone knows that's been to our webinars or our live trading room, everything that we say and do at Viper Trading Systems is for educational purposes only. Futures trading, Forex trading, any kind of financial instruments trading involves risk. Therefore, there's always risk of loss. You should only trade discretionary capital, and that is money that you can afford to lose. Nothing said in this webinar. Other webinars we might have, our live trading room or anything else with Viper Trading Systems should never be construed as trading or investment advice. And as always, everyone does trade at their own sole discretion. Any questions on the disclaimer? All right, if not, we're going to go ahead and get started. Now, like I was mentioning, tonight is literally a little bit more about, how to really tell if you're getting a trend change or if you want to look for those phantom or deep probe retracements, okay? And what I personally do, and I think it's extremely important to do, is to look at it's your identified lightning. Your identified lightning 3 is your most important when it comes to the actual trend changes. For instance, if I was looking at this chart right here, right now, I would assume that since this took out this low, this is my primary swing, right? See, it took out this low over here to the left, okay? And this is my secondary swing right here. So basically, what I do is I draw a line on my charts, and I draw a line at the primary swing also. Now, keep in mind that Lightning 3 is actually a little bit larger swings. They're pretty important for trend changes. Okay, so you draw on your chart. Now, if you were looking to, for instance, take a phantom type trade, where would you think it would have to be in this case? If you were looking at this trade like right now on a real chart, and this is a real chart, by the way. Okay. But let me show you what kind of happens as you go along. Now notice that you're getting quite a bit lower low, right? Now it doesn't mean that they'll stay that way. Now you're getting a little bit of a retrace. You got resistance right across here, like so. And it looks like it's taking that out, but then it rolls over, right? Okay. Now notice that you're getting a little bit higher low as we look here, right? As we look at the chart here, you're getting a little bit higher low. Okay. Now, when you look at your charts and you start seeing higher lows after a good run down, then you're going to have to start realizing that more than likely that's going to be very possibly a trend change, unless this was to actually hit its head here at my line and roll over. And see, in this case, it did not do that. But let me ask you a question. Did this actually change the overall trend? Yes or no? And it didn't, did it? Because looking to the left, you've actually got lower highs and lower lows, and then you have a low, a high, a higher low. Does this mean that you could possibly box in or around mid-band, take a trade and get this move? Yes. And we're going to look at that and see what color the bars are and if it turned our background green and things like that to begin with. But if you were looking at this to trade this, would you really think that this was actually a trend change? And most of you typed in no. Okay, because you're looking to the left to trade the right. Okay, now watch what happened. See there? That wasn't a trend change. Now, does that mean that we can't trade this little area here? Absolutely, we can trade it. But it's got to do what? Thrust and retrace back into like mid-band or a predictor, and we can take that trade. Okay? Now, if you were looking at this still, is this still an uptrend or a downtrend? It kind of took out the previous high right over here. See how you had a little bit lower low by about 6 ticks or so, and then you took out your high just a little bit here and then still rolled over? that's those little fake out breakouts that you want to be careful for, because I'll bet you that was more than likely a phantom trade. This one probably wasn't, but I'll bet this one was. And the reason that I bet that is because by looking at this, I can kind of visualize where my mid-band should go. Now, we're going to go to that mid-band here in just a few minutes, okay? But I was Skyping with one of our members today, and he mentioned be sure and talk about, how to really tell, for instance, if you're getting a trend change. And I'll just read what he said here. He said, I'm realizing my biggest challenge is that I see the trend, but I allow retracements to fool me into possible trend changes. And the one thing you want to be careful of on trend changes is looking to the left to trade the right. Is it truly a trend change yet, or is it just a deeper type of retracement? Okay. Now, true trend changes are going to change our background green. They're going to change the mid-band green. They're going to do the things that we need them to do. And it doesn't mean that even that is not necessarily still part of a, like we talked about this morning in the room on Russell, just a good deep retracement. But, that's what we're all looking at every single day that we trade. Okay. So let me tell you what else he wrote. He said, I hear in the room often, to take that, but just don't let it go against you. You hear me say that quite a bit and what the reason for that is because if you're going to take a trade that, is going deeper, to give an example, it can be a trend change. There's not a question about that. So, we're not going to give them 20 ticks against us or anything like that. Now, what you normally want to do is just, for instance, if you get in at a predictor or something like that, or at a mid-band, just don't let it go against you. It doesn't cost a whole lot to give $5 to your broker as it does to give 20 ticks and your $5 to your broker per contract, okay, or 3 or whatever you're at with NinjaTrader. Okay. All right. So let's bear with me a second. I'm going to get this question log back out of the way of that Skype. All right, so let me show you the actual chart, and let's just talk about a few things on here. Bear with me a second. And I'm going to go back to the area we were actually at. Okay, and let's look at it from a longer point of view. I'm going to go ahead and draw the lightning 3 again, just so you can see it. Now, again, does that look like a trend change? See, this is where it can really fool you. Now, does this mean that we can't take this box again at mid-band? For instance, when it thrusts up like to a phantom, pulls back, that went deeper than I would have normally done, but you could have probably boxed it in at mid-band and taken that trade. We look for the thrust and the retrace, okay? Or if you didn't get that, probably at the predictor, you could have gotten 10 ticks, okay? But keep in mind, until it takes out this swing right across here, and it didn't, that is not a trend change, okay? Even though this turns green and things like that, it doesn't mean that this is not a micro trend change, but it is not the Lightning 3 trend change, okay? Lightning 3 is going to be, basically a little bit larger because it's looking at least 15 bars, okay? So it gives you some really good, trend look to it, okay? Now, when you break a swing like on Lightning 3, see how this broke this swing right here, just right across there? That usually means that they're trying to take it out, and any kind of retracement back into a support level, stealth or something like that, you could take. You just want to be very careful with it, okay? But when they do break, to give an example, over here you have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, and you definitely did get a little higher high just by a wick, okay? And that usually will indicate that they're trying to change trends, but you still have to look to your left one to see, did they change trends, okay? That's where a lot of people, get into. Let's say you were looking at this in real time and you're thinking, wow, this got a higher low, and all of a sudden it kind of popped up, and now it's popping up even a little bit more. So you're thinking, pretty much longs, right? Because you got a green background and a green midband. And that is true. That's what you're looking for. But you're also looking to the left and thinking, if they don't take out this 1552.60, then more than likely I'm not going to be staying with this trade. Okay? Always draw your lines on your charts and you'll see, right where they're going, or where they're going to, for instance, miss just a little bit and then even roll over. Okay? Anybody have any questions on that so far? Okay. Now, when you do get trend changes, with the little medium midband, this line 4 here, you are looking for this phantom trade. And believe me, with even Russell, with, say a couple of contracts, that's a $100 bill if you can get it off of line 1, to give an example. See, this one actually, even went up a little higher, at least to midband, and you get a good 10, 15 tick trade. Okay. Now, what's the overall trend on this, though, as we speak right now? Larger range. You had a little bit of a blip to the left. It didn't take it out, so they head down. Everybody see that? Now, to me, I think it's really important to look at your identified swings. You look on the left and you look on the right. All right. If you don't see them take out this left swing and they get a lower high, to give an example, and you can draw like a trend line even under your lows, something like that, and they do take out your trend line, you can actually short that. Okay. Especially if they gave a lower high to begin with, because all this was really doing right here was just enough to break above here and change backgrounds and things like that. But that still turned out to be a good trade if you just simply waited for the predictor trade. If you waited for an actual midband trade, you never really got it, because what you'd be doing, you'd be boxing it in, with like your resistance across here, and you never really got it. But you did get your phantom trade, and that worked out. Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing any questions on this, so I think everybody's getting this, right? Because if you look at the chart with the lightning 3 on it, it just does away with a lot of the, ambiguity of what you're seeing. Now, was this a trend change? Yes or no? Well, looking to the left, you had a high, you had a low, had a lower high, lower low, so that's an identified swing. You even had a lower low over here, so that's even an identified swing along with this one. So definitely, in this case here, when they take out these swings, that is definitely a trend change. Everybody see that? Now, where would you get in this trade if, you happen to just see it like we're seeing it right now? Where would you get into it? Anybody? You want to see it on the other chart, and we'll see where you can get into it. Let's see, that was about 1344 on Friday, it looks like. So let me go back to that. 1344 on Friday, right in through here. All right, so here's your actual chart right here. You're taking out this swing. Is this an identified swing on the left? Yes or no? And it is, right? Low, high, lower, low. So this is your identified swing right here. And they definitely took it out, right? Even here they took it out. By the way, this is what we call a minimum criteria trade. And this is what we call a mid-band. When you get that first phantom, for instance, and it pulls back into mid-band, you can box those in. We do that all the time in the room. But let's just say you didn't catch that one and you caught this one instead. This is still a minimum criteria trade based on breaking stealth and line 6. Okay, so you would simply box it in and you'd be in it as soon as it broke that box. Everybody see that? And how did we know this was for sure a trend change on this side? Is because it was actually taking out the left-hand swing. All the way along these other areas, it never took out that left-hand swing. Let's go back and look at it. Let me get rid of this right here. Everybody see that? See, with the mid-band red, that is what screws me up on the trend change. You know, the one thing about that, Raymond, if you really get to looking to the left to trade the right, though, I don't think it will as much. Because, see, here's what a person has to look at. If on this side of the screen you have a low here and a high here and a lower low, that is your identified swing on the left. Now, over here you have a low, a high, higher low, and even a higher high, but it never takes this out. Okay, so you would expect still some downtrend, and that's what it gave you. Okay, but now watch when it actually changes. What did it do? It took out that type of swing right there and gave you an opportunity to get in with green background and everything, or even here, right? You know, if you wait for the entire thrust in a mid-band trade, this is a good trade right here, and this is a good trade right here. Okay, and that's, by the way, not in hindsight, because you're going to see this on charts all the time. Okay, now, if you were trading this in real time with your real money, okay, let's say, for instance, that you walked into your computer. Let's just go ahead and let it do a thrust and a retrace, okay? Where would you get into oops, sorry about that. Where would you get into a trade if you had a red background, red midband, and you're looking for this trade? You've not even had it yet. See, you haven't had a phantom trade, so you're looking right in this area right here for that phantom trade, line 6 to line 7, remember? And see, that actually hit that and gave you 10 ticks. So that little trade right there, you really want to get to the point where you kind of bank on that trade, because it is a good trade. And there's another one right there, by the way, line 7 trade, and went down. Okay. So, if you were boxing this across this area, do you see where you could actually have taken that trade too when it broke the same box? Short. Because those phantom trades, let's go over those just for a couple of minutes or so, because we do have some, people that haven't seen this before. So let me bring this over right here. All right. So when you're looking at your mid-band and your bands and everything on the Viper Trading System tools, always remember when you start with the little magenta shadow, that's line 0. Okay? Exactly 6 ticks later, you're going to see line 1. Exactly 6 ticks after that, you're going to see line 2. Exactly 6 ticks after that, line 3. Exactly 6 after that, line 4. 6 ticks after, line 5. 6 after, line 6. 6 after, line 7. And 6 after, line 8. Okay? Now, when you're seeing this in real time on your chart, let me stop this for just a minute so everybody gets the gist of it here, okay? Line 0 all the way through line 8. So in the room, when we talk about line 2, you're going to know that's 0, 1, 2. Okay? So if I say I'm looking for a trade long between line 1 and 2, then you're going to be basically looking for this trade right down here. Okay? If I said I was looking for a trade between lines 6 and 7, you'd be looking between here. Now, keep in mind, since I've got the lines drawn, you'd be looking here, right? Because that's the same spot as over here as far as the bands are concerned. This is line 6 to line 7. And that's where you'd be looking for a short type trade if the mid band was the red color. So in other words, you'd be looking down here. And we got a nice flat area down here and even here. And usually when you get the phantom trades, by the way, it's not when they're dropping like a stone. Never is then. It's when they go flat. You'll get it here. You'll get it here. Okay, but when they're dropping like this, you won't ever see a phantom trade materialize on this, because it pretty much takes the sellers to quit selling, and the buyers to not be really buying much yet, but just kind of getting out of their shorts, and then you take those trades in the phantom area. Let's see, that's the second time into phantom though. On which one, Davin? I'll go back to that. You're talking about right here? Yeah, but remember what I said about Russell? Russell is very prominent at giving a line 6 and a line 7. And they do the same thing over here. Now this one didn't. You didn't get a line 2 trade, you just got a line 1 trade. Okay, this one only did a line 7 trade, 6 to 7. So you don't always get that. But when you see this like this, they'll usually do that, where they'll try to take this up like they're going to try to run this thing, and then they roll over again anyway. As long as you're seeing mid bands, color backgrounds, and things like that that are this color, the only time you want to really look to take a long is if they break lightning 3 on the left side of the chart. Did they break line 3 on the left side of the chart? Right across here? And they did, right? Why won't that draw? Get over there. All right. So see how they broke that? And you'll usually get a green background and everything. So, one thing you can also start looking for, by the way, is when you get a thrust up. Charles looks for this quite a bit. I see him doing this quite a bit. Let's say that you hit this line 6, and then all of a sudden they can't take out that top and they hit that line 6 again. You can actually grab that trade. You just want to be careful with it. That's like a stealth trade. See where it just kind of kisses stealth? Let's see. I personally think once you can see phantoms, the rest of the chart becomes clear to see. It does. It really does. It becomes really clear to see. To give an example, let's just go and see if we can find a phantom trade, and I'll draw it ahead of time. Because what color's our midband? Right now, we're looking for a line 1 to line 2 phantom. See if we get one. Whoop, sorry, I'm going to just move that. I don't want to size it, just want to move it. There's your phantom trade. Now, why would you take this phantom trade right here? Anybody? Look to the left to trade the right. What is that telling you right now that's happening at that phantom? It could crater through it, absolutely, but it ratcheted up, right? So, okay, so this is first time into phantom after a trend change right here, all right? Now, what I normally like to do is just literally grab line 1. If I can get a line 1 trade, I put my stop at line 0. So let's say that you grab this trade. The moment you see it hit line 1, okay, you're trying to get 10 ticks on it, which is up here, well, as close as you can get to mid-band. So there's a 10 tick trade, right? Okay, so you're just what? In your scalp right now, right? So let's watch it and see. Lightning. If it breaks that little swing, you'd be out of the trade, right? Didn't break it, didn't break it, didn't break it, didn't break it. Draw you a trend line. You could still be out of the trade if it happens to break it. And you're out. Okay, so that turned out to be a good little trade, right? Now, we didn't ratchet up, okay? So what you want to be careful if they don't ratchet up is they could go deeper, but how deep can they go? If they don't take out this swing on the left, right here, I'm going to change this color, by the way. Let's go ahead and change it because white was on that black background. Let's go with navy blue. I like that one. Dark blue's fine. All right. So if they don't break this over here, are they still heading up? Yes or no? Looking to the left to trade the right. Absolutely. So would you be looking for a trade in through here again if they don't take this out? Or what if they turn this background red and let's just say for hypothetical purposes that they ended up coming down here. Now, we don't know if they're going to or not, but if they don't take this out, it's still an uptrend. Now, my background will change by now. If we get into this area, you can count on that background changing, and more than likely the mid-band will change. But is that a downtrend yet? Yes or no? And the answer would be no, right? So let's see if we can get another trade. There's a phantom. What do you think? Box it in. What do you think? Waiting too long. What do you think? Line 2, that one's going to be a little bit of pain on you. If you got in at line 2, you're feeling a little bit of heat, but let's put our stop right down here. And we're not going to reverse it because you're not breaking this support level right here, so you're definitely not reversing it. So let's see if we got in at line 2 because it faked us. It did a little bar up. So let's say we're an aggressive trader, and we're in at line 2 at 1546.80. Went down to 46. And you got your scalp. Okay? Everybody see that? Now, those phantom trades, by the way, those can turn into some very, very nice trades. Okay? Deep bar probes and phantoms can turn into some nice trades. All right? Now, just because they go to red bars does not mean there's a trend change afoot. Okay? You have to look to the left to trade the right. Are phantoms more of a scalping trade? Well, Raymond, on your question, yes. What you're looking for as a very high probability trade is your first time in the mid band after a trend change. That trade is worth its weight in gold. This trade right here, in my opinion, is worth its weight in gold. That's a good trade. This little trade right here where they barely take out support, but they don't take out this support, that's another good one. You could even take it like this, but it's a little riskier. You know, with your thrust retrace, where you can draw a trend line. That one still worked out, so you were okay. But I would rather buy it at line 1. Okay. Now let's go over this chart though, just for the fun of it, for the rest of the day, and y'all tell me if you feel that you've had a trend change yet. And we're going to do it without you being able to see the colors and everything. I want you to just see lightning only, and let's just see what happened. Hopefully I've got it all on far enough up on it. Let's see if I do. Got it till 5:35 or so. Is that the rest of the 11th, which was yesterday? Let me just go ahead just for the fun of it, and I'm gonna fast forward it because I'm not as much concerned about using Object Trader tonight. I want everybody to be able to see, when you can really tell where these trend changes are, because when you get faked out and you're on the wrong side of a trade, they can really mess you up pretty quick. Okay, bear with me a second. We're going to go ahead and go all the way to the end of my data. And then we're going to do identified swings as we go, and I want y'all to tell me if we get a trend change. Hopefully it'll load my chart. Bear with it just a minute. It's loading now. We try to have the best indicators you can possibly have. Now, are they absolutely 100% perfect? To get into the first of a trend change, you're going to have to go against, some things, but we teach how to do that. I mean, for instance, we saw that trend change on that other chart right when it took out that swing, didn't we? And when it comes back and kisses like a stealth or mid-band or something like that. So let's go with just a second. And I'm going to go with And you tell me when you see the trend change. Okay, so we're going to go with, like, let's see. This was actually on the 12th. Bear with me a second. It's still loading this one. Still loading. Come on, load, finish up. Well, hopefully my chart isn't frozen up. Doggone it. Just a moment. Bear with it just a second. I'm going to see if I can kill this chart and go forward instead. Okay, here. Hopefully this is good right here. It finally loaded that one. So let's see. I'm going to get rid of these lines. And let's just go with, I'm going to go ahead and draw a lightning 3. And let's see, we had a high, we had a low, barely higher high. I'd consider this actually to be like a low down here on what I call it identified. And then you had a high up here. So basically, what do you have right here, everyone? What do you think? When do we get a trend change on here? Does anybody see it? I see it. Looking to the left to trade the right. You have a low, you have a high, you have a higher low, you have a higher high. That is your identified swing. When did they start taking this out? Anybody? They took it out right in through here, right? When they went through what, 1551.40? And you want to see it on the actual chart and see if it actually did do a trend change? We'll find out. But everybody see what I'm talking about there? Now, does it mean it has to stay a trend change? And the answer is no, because obviously you can see here that it didn't. But this is definitely a trend change. Okay, could you trade this right here, yes or no? Let's put it on the template then, and let's find out. This is at what, 11:11, about 5 o'clock. Let's look at the chart. 11:11 at 5 o'clock. 11:11 at 5 o'clock. Where are you at? There we go. See, it was a trend change. See, we nailed it. Because right here, you have a high, you have a low, you have a higher high. This is what we call your left hand swing across here. Did they take this out here, yes or no? And you did actually get what we call a minimum criterion. You got 10 ticks. You would have been taken out, and you got another trade. Of course, keep in mind this was changing to 5 o'clock yesterday afternoon. So this probably kind of shotgunned a little bit. Okay, but let me ask you a question. Looking at that chart that we see right now, where would you for sure know that you're changing trends on that chart? Anybody? Well, if you draw your lightning 3, have a high, low, lower high, lower low, same low. This doesn't count. This is still a lower high. See it? Okay, so this is your identified swing on the left. Everybody see that? Why did I pick that one, Raymond? Because what I was looking for is so that everybody could see when the trend changes. Okay, because notice that over here, for instance, this was just heading up so nicely and everything. And if you draw your lightning 3, let me just draw it from over here and I'll show you. Do you see any trend change yet? If you were looking at this in real time, let's say that, don't pay any attention to what time this is at all. You have a low, a high, higher low, higher high, established low, right? Okay, higher low, not a higher high, not an established low. Okay, a low, not a higher high, not an established low. higher high than the swing before, establish low. Everybody see that? And then you have a high, low, higher high, establish low. Okay, low, high, not higher, not established low. Low, higher than this, established low. Everybody see that? Identified. High, low, higher high, established low. High, low, higher high, established low. So if they break that, is that a trend change? And the answer is yes. And you could trade that. Okay. See how our stuff picks us up. Now, was this a good phantom trade? Yes, absolutely. Was that a good 10 ticker or better into a phantom trade after a ratchet up? Yes. And watch my video from last Monday, and we went over phantoms just fully. Okay. Now, what would it take to change this trend to the upside if it was to decide to break up? Anybody? On the left side, you have a high, low, doesn't count, same low, high, lower. That's your established swing on the left. So if they break that, are they changing trends? And you can clearly see they were. Everybody see that? It's a really good way for you to make sure that you see exactly what's going on those charts. Okay? Now, if you were trading this, and let's say that you just missed this, and you didn't get a pullback. You know, this didn't do a deep pullback. Notice that? Never got you in except right here at midband. Okay? Unless you just decided, you know what? This broke above resistance. You know, if you want to take that, keep in mind that if you look to the left to trade the right and you decided to take this trade when it took out this identified swing right here, okay, then don't let it go back against you. We take those all the time, by the way. You know, if you see it break an identified swing, you know, it's the same thing to the downside. You know, when they broke this identified swing right here, you know, they kind of faked you, but they still respected midband and took it down a little bit further. This is the part that I want to learn. Okay, good. I do see this stuff in my sleep most times. It's pretty amazing. Because, well, we designed everything on here, right? But, you know, when you do see, you know, a thrust up above an identified swing and they hold a higher support, can you take this? You know, now this is in hindsight, I realize that, but, you know, they did definitely break resistance. And, you know, if you get any kind of a pullback, you can take those. You can usually tell when they come back a little deep. You know, try to get to line 6 or something like that and then pop it up. You can grab that. But what if you missed that? Let's see if we can get in again. Let's just see if we can get in again. Got to break line 6 for our minimum criteria trade. Broke line 6. Broke stealth. That's close of a bar, right? Okay. So now we're going to talk for a minute about micro and secondary lightning, like power meter 2. So where's your swing? Not counting the big swings. Where's your micro swing? This is your first one right here. This is your secondary one right here, and they're really close together. Okay? So as a rule, they're not going to take the swing out because they established it. High, low, much higher, high. So if you're going to head up, you expect it to bounce off a midband and before that line. Okay? Unless it's going to go to phantom, and if it does that, then you're going to get a deeper retracement. But, you know, be ready to take the trade. If it comes down, you can draw your little box and it takes off. That's fine. Okay? Now, what if you miss this trade completely? Okay? This is like 8 o'clock at night. Let's just see if we get any kind of trade that you could take. There was one that you could have taken right there. Basically, it didn't close below line 6, but it did close under stealth, so I'll usually grab those. Let's see. Okay, there's a midband trade right there, right? Okay. If you were to draw like a trend line on this, could you see if you could take a trade like this? Let's see. Wouldn't be in yet. It didn't close. Wouldn't be in yet because it didn't close. Now, usually what I do is I like to take it if it pops back above mid-band in a situation like this and scalp it. Put my stop right here just in case. So I'm in at mid-band. And it looks like I got a scalp 7 ticks anyway, maybe 6. That's probably 8. That'd be a little bit of a scalp. Just don't let it go back against you. And what I mean by going back against you is if you got in at mid-band, then, don't let it close back below mid-band. If it does, see, that's trying to close right underneath mid-band. Because here's another thing you're going to want to look for when you're trading, but it's not going to always happen. You don't always get an ABC. Okay, I like it better when they do, because usually you can get a better trade when they do. Like this is an A, a B, C could be down in here, or it could be just under here. You just don't know where C is going to be because it could be a little bit deeper. You do have support right over here. That's a phantom, by the way. So I'd probably be looking for this trade right here. If they take me out, I'm not getting back in unless they break that trend line. And that did break that trend line, so I'd be in that. And I'd be out again. See, right at mid-band. This is where they do a little bit of faking on you, so you got to be careful. That's what I'm saying. If you get into a trade, you're green somewhat, and they go back against you, just get out. Because you can either scalp it or just break even, and that's fine too. Let's see, I felt committed to my full stop. Now I'm more comfortable taking trades knowing it. I'll close quickly. Yeah, that's the whole thing. Steve's saying that basically, rather than just being in it for the long haul, because what could the long haul be, everyone? Well, the long haul could be that it takes out phantom and everything and heads straight down. So, even if you were using this swing, let's say that you got in at mid-band, you said, you know what, I'll give it even to here. If it happens to take it out like that, you'd be out. Okay? Now, this is a new day, by the way. Let's see, Lewis, question. Bear with me. What do you look at first breaking a low or a high? Well, keep in mind there are 4 trends on your chart. The most important one to look for is this one right here. This is your lightning 3. This is when you're going to know trend changes happen and everything. Okay, when they break these lightning 3 swings. Okay. Now, as far as your micro swings, you're going to have to be more careful because 4 range bars make a lot of micro swings. But just to give you an example, is this actually any kind of a trend change yet? There's a phantom trade, by the way. Did it turn out to be a good phantom trade? Well, nobody knows yet, right? But it did do what? A mid-band trade? And a mid-band trade is good enough, right? Absolutely. Okay? So, when you're trading next time around, what's going to be the rule of thumb, everybody? You're going to be watching Lightning 3. You're going to be looking for trend changes only when Lightning 3 is broken, right? So let's see if we can find out where our next trade is. Let's just look. I'll get rid of all the lines. We'll get rid of Lightning 3 for all the way over here because we don't care anymore. We're going to draw it from here instead. Ooh, there's a Lightning 3. Now, is that an established Lightning 3, yes or no? Now, this is one that you want to watch for. Let me tell you what you need to do on this one. If you get a lower high than this up here, okay, in other words, if this actually somehow gets a lower high, let's see if it does, and breaks Lightning 3, then you could short it. But your safest bet is for a thrust and a retrace. But see, this one, now this is a good example of when they really move up. Notice that you don't have Lightning 3s going along in here because Lightning 3 will only draw from yellow to green. This is yellow to yellow. This is yellow to green here. Let's see why it didn't draw there. Let's see, yellow. Yeah, because it went through it, so it doesn't count that one. And it doesn't count this one. I'm not sure exactly why it doesn't count that one, but it didn't draw it, so I'm going to just assume that it's in the algorithm. Okay, but you're not going to want to go all the way down to here to break trend. You see what I'm getting at? You'll do a high, a low, a lower high, and a lower low. Okay, if that breaks, like so, then what are we looking for, team? We're looking for a retrace, right? Let's see if we get one. There's what we call a predictor. Let's take it. Let's pretend we get in at 1557.70. And we got a scalp. I don't care about anything else but that. That scalp's there. And if I get taken out, I'm out. I'd probably be out because it stair-stepped up. All right, so let's see where it's going. Look to the left to trade the right. Got to swing right across here, thrust, retrace, thrust. See if they get up in there. This is another trade, by the way. This is what we call a mid-band trade. In it. Scalp. Everybody see that? Riding a runner. Stop. 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 And out. Okay. Now the reason I'd be out on that is because it took out this micro swing right here. But could you actually, if this is actually taking you out right at a mid band, could you be ready to get back in this trade? And the answer would be yes. Can you see the box? The box is right here. Keep drawing it. Now draw it here. See, everybody see why? Bring it down here. And you're in. That bar closed. Okay? Or if you did it with the wick, if you're a little bit more conservative, that's fine too. You're still in. Everybody see that? Okay? So let's see if we can get a little trade out of this one. There's a scalp. Should hit its head at my line. Rolls. And a beautiful trade. Okay? So let's see. For newbies, is it better to leave the Lightning 3 on? You know, it's up to you because it does draw. You know, Lightning 3 takes a while to draw because it's looking for at least 15 bars. But it definitely will draw. And yeah, you could leave it on a chart if you want to. Let's look and see if we get a trend change again. There's Lightning 3. There's Lightning 3 again, right? Everybody see that? Lightning 3 again. Got a little bit of a bottom. Okay. You're stopped out of your trade, right? Could you actually take this trade above here like we were talking about just a few minutes ago? That's breaking the left-hand swing. Could you take that bar? Let's see if we get a scalp at least. Phantom, line 7. See that bar roll over right there? That's a line 7 phantom. Now, this one is taking out the swing to the left, just barely. Notice that? See the lightning swing to the left? But let's take it anyway. Let's see if it'll work. We're going to take it if it just literally just closes below line 7 or even touches below it. We're in. All right, let's see. And looks like a phantom scalp to mid-band. Okay. Now, was that a trend change, yes or no? When they barely go above a previous swing to the left, that is not a trend change. Now, looking at this low, this high, and this lower low here, technically this was a trend change when they took this out, which we said to get in, right? But also look at your secondary swing, like we talked about earlier, and they'll check those a lot of times. They'll do like an ABC, and this will be like a very identified swing. Does that mean you couldn't take this trade? No. Matter of fact, we'd take that trade long in a heartbeat. But if it would have hit its head at resistance, like at line 7, with that still being this color, I would phantom short that. Because that phantom short is what? First time in after a trend change. That's a very high probability trade right there. Okay, same thing as this one was. First time into trend change, phantom. First time into trend change, phantom. Okay? And also keep in mind when they barely break these lows like this is broken by like 6-7 ticks. Okay? This is not as identified of a swing as this one is. As far as the longer term, thrust, retrace, like ABC. Okay? But also the phantom got you in the trade to begin with. Let's see if we can see if this trend changes again. Nope. Where's your swing now? Anybody? 1550 what? Like 1553? 40 for now? That swing right there is your identified swing. What do you think? Anybody? What do you think on that one? I'd probably go for my secondary swing, and I'll tell you why. Could you get these trades, though, at mid-band? Yes, absolutely. See, that trade works out perfectly right there. But I'm real cautious when they just barely take out these lows. I like them when they take out these lows by quite a bit. Yeah, and with the mid-band, this color and everything, you'd be looking for these trades to begin with. So let's see. We ratcheted down. You want to see if we get a phantom trade? You got a little mid-band. There's a phantom setting up. What do you think? What do you think about boxing it in right there? See if we can get 10 ticks. There's support. We're going to short it if it takes out that line. Short. Scalp. Okay? Let's see if we can get a phantom trade at all. Maybe we can. Let's see if it breaks down or doesn't. Well, it's going back up. Phantom is line 6 to line 7. There's a phantom trade right there. What do you think? Line 6. You try to get to mid-band. It looks like it did it. There's a line 6 to 7 trade. What do you think on that one? Now, what you normally want to do, by the way, if you take these true phantoms that actually, and I like them to close above line 6 for a short phantom, and that one did right there on that bar, so I'd probably take that, put my stop right here at line 0. I've got a swing right here also, and it looks like it didn't take it out. Phantom trades, like I was showing earlier, you want to go ahead and utilize that line 0. Did I restart that chart? Okay, there we go. Let's see what time we were on this other so we can tell. We're at 8:33 on today, okay? 8:33 today. So let's see, 8:33 right here. See how this just kept going and going and going? Now, when this changed to the green, where do you think that actually did that? You want to just about bet that it's at lightning, taking out lightning 3? Anybody? Because I'll bet it did. Let's see if it did. 9:11 is approximately the time, so we see the green, right? So let's see if it took out a lightning 3 at 9:11. Okay, so our swing is right here. Didn't take it out yet. Now your swing's here. Now your swing's here. Phantom trade, right? Little phantom trade. Now your swing's here. And you're long. Now keep in mind that that's a breakout trade. So if you're going to trade this right, you probably want it to thrust and pull back. So I'd like for it to come into a little sweet spot. Let's see if we can get it. I'm going to draw a box. And we'll just see if it would have hit that box. There it is. And you got your decent little trade. Everybody see how that can work? It's just a pretty good way to trade, isn't it? Now, let me ask you a quick question. Did this take out the left-hand swing, yes or no? Now, keep in mind, we can still do an ABC breakout of lightning 3 on the right-hand side of the chart, but we still have to look to the left. Okay? So if it didn't take this out, would you have been ready to short that? Or possibly draw a trend line to short it? Under your lows or something? Could you do that? If it didn't take this out, always look to the left for the true trend change, but also look to the right if you get these lightning 3s, because it takes quite a while to get those lightning 3s to draw. And if they then break them, then, you know, you can take that trade. And it even came back and kissed the swing too. I think we called that trade in the room this morning. Pretty sure we did. You like this one, Raymond? Now, this will help you out an awful lot, because, you know, the whole thing is that when a person is trading, you've got to really know when those trend changes come in. And basically, you know, for instance, let's just keep watching it. Let's see what happened. See, it just kissed it again. There's a mid-band trade. There's another mid-band trade. That's a deeper probe, isn't it? But what are they taking out? Lightning 3 on the right and lightning 3 on the left. Could you box this in this area? What do you think? Anybody? Well, that's pretty decent little phantom trade, but it didn't quite get up there to phantom. You know, it's a little ways away from it. So basically what you're looking for in this case right here is boxing this in and taking a quick short, because it's still got your mid-band. That's the right color for that. Okay, let's keep going and see what it does. Still heading down. So high, low, lower high, higher low, high. So you didn't get a long trade, but you boxed it in. See what happened after that. Lightning 3. Broke it a little bit, right? Broke it a little bit. So what do you think? Is that a trend change? Yes or no? It's a phantom. What have you got right here, everyone? A double bottom. So is that an identified swing? No. Now, if this would have gone down like this, let's say it would have gone deeper and made this an identified swing, then I would say, yes, you could take it. Let's say it would have done this instead. Then this would be your left-hand identified swing. So if it broke it, it would take it up. Otherwise, what is this doing right now? Well, this is not even an identified swing, because everybody knows that, right? When you double bottom like this, this is not identified, because that's not a low, a high, and a lower low. Okay, but you don't want to go all the way up here either, you know, because that's where your big swing is. So could you box this in on this for a phantom trade, yes or no? Let's just try it and see. You're definitely short on it, right? Yeah, good trade. See how those phantoms just flat work? That was first time after trend change for a true phantom. This was a never got to phantom. Line 6 to line 7, short phantom. This is line 6 to line 7, short phantom right here. Okay? So let me ask a quick question. Is anybody going to fall for any of those in the future? What do you think? Let's just go on forward and just see. We're almost out of time, but let's just see if we can get some trades. There's another phantom right there. Put your stop just above the swing or at line 1, either way, or line 0, or line 8, pardon me. Got that wrong. All right. Usually what I do on a case like this, if they do little lightning, I usually tighten my stop. That way I don't get taken. See, because that one actually was a trend change. So let's see if we can get in another trade. Got a lightning swing on the left. Still stair stepping down so far. Still stair stepping down. What is this one? Anybody? It may be a full trend change, but is this a phantom trade? Yes or no? I'm going to take it. Hopefully it works, because that is a phantom after a trend change. So if it goes back above line 2, I'm going to take that trade. Or line 1, period, if the bar closes up. Line 1, I'm in. And you got a scalp. Got more than a scalp. Not bad. Where would you get out of this trade? Watch your lightning, and let's see. Out. Went back below mid-band. Okay, you wouldn't short it there, though. Okay, let's see if we can get another trade at all. In. Everybody see that? High or low, by the way. So I'd be in at line 2. Scalp. In for the runner. Out on line 6 with everything. Okay, and then where's your next trade on this chart? Box in, and you got a long, and there's another trade right there. See, these work. So if you start trading like this, you're going to find a world of difference in your bottom line, because it does flat make a difference in everything. If you were to be looking at this chart right now, you've got a high, a low, a higher high on your lightning 3. What would it take to change this trend to the downside? Anybody? It'd take breaking 15, 24, 20. Let's see if we get another trade. Turn my background red. Is this a short? Anybody? Is this a short yet? I'm going to be a little bit more cautious, and I'm only going to take if it breaks line 2. Let's see if it does. Now you've got a little lightning swing. I'll take that if it breaks it. In. Now that did actually change, so if this actually rolls over at all, I'm going to be out of this trade. Out. Everybody see that? Worked out. Now, is this a trend change? Not if you look at lightning 3. You have a high, a low, and a higher high, and now a higher low again. It did change the background in the mid-band. Okay, so if you look at resistance across here, it's right across this way. If this was to break this to the upside like that, I'd probably be going long. But keep in mind that Matter of fact, that worked real good. Look at that come down below line 6. Wow. Nice little trade, huh? There was a minimum criteria trade right there too. You just got to wait for that trade. That trade right there is also pretty good if you get below line 6 and pop back up, but it's even better if it gets below stealth and line 6. So what does everybody think? We can go ahead and wrap. I hope this helped everybody out somewhat, because if you look to the left to trade the right, you're going to find out that you're going to be in less trades that go against you, even if you discount the background, simply because you're going to be looking for a thrust retrace and a thrust and a pullback to go long, right? But when did this actually start heading to the upside? Over here. Well, when you got that higher low on that phantom, it was, but when it took this out, it for sure was heading up. See there? When it took it out, you're looking for that first retrace, even if you waited for this trade and didn't even take this trade. Okay? So we're looking for mid-band trades, phantom trade shorts, phantom trade shorts, phantom, not quite a phantom, mid-bands, almost a phantom boxed in, and of course your phantom. So you're going to find that these trades work out pretty well, especially if you look to the left to trade the right and make sure that if they do take out your resistance area, you know, something like this over here, for instance, when it's identified, just be ready to short it again. That's what our best traders do when they're stair stepping down. They're looking for these shorts. Okay. Let's see. Cross, great stuff, but a bit over your head, not knowing things like Lightning 3 and such. You mentioned a webinar last week. Where would I find it? I put that actually on the webinar link. Let me just show it to you real quick. Our members always get those, but I'll even put this one tonight up for you too. Keyboard shortcuts on Lightning 3. Greg, on your question, anytime anybody has any trouble figuring out what the shortcuts are on Lightning, just look at the indicator itself and it'll show you. But bear with me a second. I'm going to show our webinar link. Somebody shut down my website or what? It's not loading it. A second. I'll go to a different browser. Wow, it's not even loading my website. What's the deal? I'll go to one more browser. I'll go to Google. That's strange. All three browsers are not loading ViperTradingSystems.com. And that's weird. Anybody else having that? Talking about phantoms too much. Phantom of the Opera, Greg? Could be. That's definitely weird. Here we go. I got it. Let's go to webinar link. Hopefully it'll load. I got to get rid of this Kaspersky. This slows down browsers more than anything I've ever had. I hate it. Came with this computer. My wife literally wants to throw it in the fireplace. There may be something stopping our website right now. Server busy or something. I don't know. But anyway, if you go to this webinar link, Cross, on your question, this will be showing my webinar from last Monday night, which was dated the 5th. Okay? And I'll put this one up also. Okay? And Greg, real quick on your question on shortcuts, be sure and look at your indicators on your chart because they all have hotkeys. Lightning 1 is the Alt key. Lightning 2 is Shift. Lightning 3 is Control key. And Lightning 4 is the backspace key. And all you have to do to put it on your chart, to give an example, Lightning 3, which is right here, Control key, this is set on a 4 range 15 swing strength. And all I have to do is just click, hold my control key down and click, and see it'll draw it anywhere that I draw it from. Just like that. Okay? Yeah, I don't know what the deal is on that cross. Evidently something with our website. Yeah, something's stuck. Who knows? It could be HostGator's having some kind of server issue tonight or something. The one thing I've learned in dealing with computers for the last 25 years, there's all kinds of problems with them. All right, thank you everyone for coming. We're going to do this in the room tomorrow. And keep in mind, before they change these trends, watch for these shorts. Could you get a quick long trade on this trade with 10 ticks? Yes. But wasn't the better trade that one? All right, and keep in mind that as long as these mid bands are these colors and you're not stair-stepping back up, you're not really changing trends yet. Okay, thanks everyone. We'll see you in the morning. Let's see, Francisco. You'd really like to join as soon as possible and take the combine. Oh, okay. Send an email, Francisco, to Viper Licensing at vipertradingsystems.com. And Linda will make sure that you get that. And I'm going to copy down your email real quick, and I'll get her to send you something too. Bear with me a second. I'll copy your email. At Gmail, okay. Francisco. Okay, I got it. All right, thanks everyone. Have a great evening. Good night.